So this is a little awkward. My last video was talking about how I've changed my channel's name from Embossed with Bale to Another's Bread, and how that reflected my growth from really unhealthy in grad school to more healthy now that I've graduated. And this was done in part to contextualize the grand reveal of my first ever video, which I never published because it talked about my workplace and how unhealthy it was, and I didn't want to get fired. Now, imagine my surprise when last week some kind person was leaving comments on that video that I thought was private. Turns out that videos listed as unlisted are actually still available to the public if they're in a public playlist. I did not know this. So that being said, this might be a rerun for some of you guys, especially that kind person who was leaving comments. And I'm sorry about that. Feel free to skip this video. I have a couple more videos already made and ready to go coming down the pipeline, but I still think this one's worth publishing properly because the thoughts of A.G. Sertillanges are worth sharing more broadly, and I think that it would be great if someone could see this video and see him for the first time and maybe read that book that I was talking about. So to kind of ease that, I've made chapters in this video so you can skip this part and even my first third of the original video, because that is mainly me talking about why I was making a video and how unhealthy I was. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this video despite its rough audio and editing, but I'll see you in the next proper ones. I am here because I'm not okay. My friends have pointed it out to me for a while as though I didn't realize it myself, that I haven't been happy or healthy in a long time. And I think that's solely because I've been in grad school for the past 5 years, working on my PhD. To an extent, several extents, it's my fault where I am, because I had really high expectations about what a PhD would be and what the community would be like. I expected it to be very intellectually stimulating and to be surrounded by a community of people enthusiastic about learning the same stuff that I was studying. But none of that has been true. And instead I find it mentally taxing, and I feel like I haven't learned very much, which is I guess what we were supposed to do. We're supposed to realize how little we know and how little we can know and what we should start to learn next. But it just turns out to be a lot of work with no fruit in it. And that's hard on me. I'm a person who loves productivity, and in the sciences, if you're I'm working as a biologist, if you are unfamiliar with science in general, they say that it's 80% failure in your experiments. And what I did not realize was that translates to 80% of my time being wasted. And that's hard. It's like if you were doing construction and you went in and built a very elaborate spiral staircase, helical staircase if you will, one day, and came in the next day and that staircase was gone, because in the sciences you work for months and then have nothing to show for it. Literally nothing. And they say you're learning stuff along the way. If that is true, it's not enough. I don't think we learn enough, but most of the time we don't learn anything because we don't know what went wrong. We do the same things and it works one way and then it doesn't work the next time. So even though you do so anyway, it's been difficult for me, as you can tell. So what I'm doing, and what I'm hoping to continue to do, is to force myself to slow down and reevaluate what's important and take time to just have some peace, because there is no peace unless you force it upon yourself, at least in grad school. So I'm going to start making some videos, this being the first, that have me going through my books on my library and either showing you a bit about what I'm reading at the time or what I have read in the past that I find is wonderful and growing and helpful. So by making these videos, I hope to have some sort of accountability for what I'm doing and to help give me incentive to actually do it. Because otherwise, with the classes I'm teaching tomorrow and the projects I'm having to do and the presentations I'm supposed to be doing soon and all the housework and animal care, I just won't make time for it. So I'm excited to share this stuff with you, and I hope that you'll find it interesting. This is Talisker Storm, by the way. I'm drinking it because I felt like my mind was in a storm. These last few days, like many of my other days, have felt like I have like a tent peg just driven through my temple, which makes it hard to think. And so I think by slowing down and just kind of breathing and relaxing while reading and sharing things that I love, I hope to feel like I'm making progress even when I'm not in other avenues. Anyway, so the book I'm going to be sharing with you today is called The Intellectual Life by A.G. Sertillanges. As the name implies, he is French. He is a French monk. He was a French monk. And he is talking about the intellectual life not only to like fantastic intellectuals, but to anybody who desires to have a thoughtful life. That's what he means. He doesn't mean you have to be Einstein or a famous philosopher. You don't have to be Descartes to have an intellectual life. We are all able to have a thoughtful life, and our lives, I think, would all be benefited by being thoughtful. And I have not had the luxury, I haven't made the time to have a thoughtful life in a very long time. And that has been to my detriment, so I'm hoping to use this as inspiration to get back to where I should be. Anyway, so he talks about practical things, how you should live your life to better understand, how to be a better intellectual, how to approach even daily activities, your health, all these different aspects. But I'll first start with a quote about where I am now. Let's go to that one, and why I think I need to do this. So he says, "Do not turn into a wizened and stunted creature, a failure who later on might be dull-witted, an old man before his time, and therefore a foolish steward of the talent entrusted to him by the master." So yeah, that's me. That's where I feel like I am now. I am 31 years old, and I feel deteriorated mentally and physically substantially in the past few years. Part of that's aging, I'm sure, but also a lot of it, I'm sure, is due to just the stress and strain that I have given myself. So he says to neglect nothing where your health is concerned. And he also says, "First then, do not be ashamed to endeavor to keep well." So yeah, I have a lot of doctor's appointments I need to follow up on. So I'm gonna make that my first step. But as part of that, as part of my health, I hope to pursue peace. And he talks a little bit about that and its importance here. "When silence takes possession of you, when far from the racket of the human highway the sacred fire flames up in the stillness, when peace, which is the tranquility of order, puts order in your thoughts and feelings and investigations, you're in the supreme disposition for learning. You can bring your materials together, you can create, you are definitely at the working point. It is not the moment to dwell on wretched trifles, to half live while time runs by, and to sell heaven for nothings. Solitude enables you to take to make contact with yourself, a necessity if you want to realize yourself, not to repeat like a parrot a few acquired formulas. And I think that's what's important. In the grad school, I've had to repeat like a formula, a few acquired formulas, but I have not had the stillness or the solitude required to synthesize the acquired formulas into new thoughts, into creative ideas. And I'm really excited to pursue that as an option. Anyway, I thought that was a nice thing. When tranquility puts your thoughts in order. But he talks fondly about solitude, but he doesn't neglect the perils of solitude. Here in this short little sentence, a beautiful nugget, he talks about its perils. As life-giving as is solitude, so paralyzing and sterilizing is isolation. And I thought that was great to distinguish between isolating yourself from community and from other ideas, and contrast that with solitude and the importance of it and the function of it. We don't want to be in a cloister. We don't want to have a cloistered virtue, I guess, as Milton talks about in Areopagitica, which hopefully we'll get to one day. A beautiful essay, but it's important to expose ourselves to new ideas. But by retreating, we're able to generate thoughts and assimilate those ideas, and also produce new creations from them, and therefore be more productive. So I think that's an extremely important thing. But with the busyness of life in grad school, and with my natural tendency to want to learn even as a recreation, I find I don't have a lot of time for stillness and solitude. I come home, and while I'm cooking, I'm wanting to watch lectures on the Great Courses Plus, which I love greatly, or watch YouTube videos about theoretical physics or how dams function and whatnot. All of these things I tell myself are productive because I'm learning while doing them. But he cautions against that, much to my dismay. He talks about the perils of curiosity. That's probably not a popular topic, but I see what he's getting at. He starts by talking about St. Thomas Aquinas. He says, St. Thomas placed studiousness under the heading of the controlling virtue of temperance, to indicate that of itself knowledge is no doubt always to be welcomed, but that our life is so ordered as to require us to temper, that is, to adapt to circumstances and to reconcile with other duties, a thirst for knowing that may easily run to excess. When I say to excess, I mean in both directions. To the virtue of studiousness, two vices are opposed: negligence on one hand, vain curiosity on the other. And of curiosity, he says, this fault, excessive and vain curiosity, this fault can creep in under cover of our best instincts and vitiate them at the very moment that it pretends to satisfy them. So in our day, when stimulations abound, even educational ones, it is dangerous to be so distracted by them and lose sight of what we should be pursuing, and even, if nothing else, lose time for solitude, which would help us grow and assimilate ideas into our mind and produce things that would be helpful to ourselves or to others. So anyway, I hope this was an interesting read. This book has been interesting to me. Hope you found those quotes interesting. They are just a few of the several wonderful ones that I've had throughout the first 120 pages or whatever that I've read thus far. We'll continue it, hopefully, as I inch my way through it. But I thank you for joining and listening to me ramble, and I hope that maybe in the future I'll be more articulate and have better things to say and have more fun quotes for you and books that maybe look into on your own, because I am a fan of reading, and I hope to share that joy with others, and I haven't really been able to for a while. Thank you for keeping me honest and accountable for trying to be healthy. Bye-bye. I don't want to get up because he just is purring away. Come on, Bob. Come on, Bob. Oh, Barbacita.